So the first piece of street art I ever saw was Vexter's Kissing Skeletons. And that was at the corner of Elizabeth and Lonsdale Street, I think. Would have been way back in the 90s. Really strong piece of street art because that corner was perfect. It's a very old building, but it had one of those doorways that was at 45 degrees to the edges. It ran the footpaths, so it was cut away. And at that time, that building was abandoned. It's now a college of some kind. But she'd hit those doors at the 45-degree angle to everything, so yeah, you could see it from every angle. Quite big paste ups, really extraordinary stuff. And both Mum and I saw it and commented on it. And I think that's one of the amazing things about street art is the fact that you don't have to go into a gallery; it comes out to see you. And I didn't think much of it. And I knew of street art. I knew it was a thing that people did. Didn't much follow it. Over the years, you obviously hear about Banksy, Hosier Lane. That's about it. I didn't really think about it too much. When I moved to Adelaide, though, I was living in a very arty block of flats. They're called the Smacky Flats, so it was also a very druggy block of flats. Um, but yeah, basically, people spent their time doing drugs and making art, and I learned to make art and a better bucket bong. But it's just the thing, and we didn't call the art anything. Like if you were playing music, you were playing music. You were singing songs, you were singing songs. You just did it. You didn't much think about it, which is pretty idyllic when you get down to it. But the first pieces I made, I didn't even make them as a street artist or thinking they were street art. They were these newspaper columns, I guess you'd call them, written sort of in the spirit of Hunter S. Thompson. I was deep, deep, deep into his writing at that time. Him and Hubert Selby Jr. But yeah, it's these little newspaper columns. And I went around to two pubs, World's End and Crown and Anchor, and pasted them up in the toilet stall so you'd have something to read while you were having a shit. And I'm pretty proud of that work. It's good writing, good writing. So do the best you can. And then I did a little paste up of a friend of mine, drew a picture of her and pasted that up and thought nothing of it. Sort of at the same time, though, I knew that two friends of mine who'd moved from Adelaide to Melbourne, Beefree and Suki, were making street art. And that would seem pretty cool. And, when they came back and, Beefree rolled by and I had an opportunity to watch while Beefree did their thing. So, that was pretty amazing. But the thing that sold me on doing street art was because art is rad. Art's always going to be rad fun. It's this great mindfulness thing. Really good therapy. But there's a thrill. And I got a rush just watching Beefree put up the paste up. I was like, we're doing something bad here. We could get caught. We could go to jail. It's a really cool adrenaline kick. And, it takes a while too. That's one of the things that we miss. I know with the tag, I can crack out a tag in about 3.5 seconds. To put up one of the big AAO stencils will take, anywhere up to 45 minutes. And, you're moving pretty quick. So, there's a lot of risk associated with that. Now, as the risk goes up, so does the reward. You get a bigger adrenaline rush, but you also get like with a really big piece, you get a bigger rush when you walk past it the next day and you see other people who've seen it and they're looking at it. So I went along and I watched Beefree do their thing, and I dug it. And B joked a little after that, they thought I'd never actually move to Melbourne and do the street art thing. But, I started in Adelaide. Watercolour paste-ups. They were terrible. The worst thing you've ever seen. But it had been a while since I'd done art, and you've got to start somewhere, and if it's worth doing, it's worth sucking at. Initially, at least. So I sucked those first couple of pieces. Really, really terrible pieces, but, found my footing after that. I was fortunate, though, in that I did have Joshua Smith. He ran Espionage Galleries, known for making miniatures now, gorgeous work. providing advice and feedback, and obviously be Free and Suki. So I had a bit of an in into the world. And, I discovered I loved it. I really did enjoy it. Which, is obviously the thing that keeps you going. You get a response from your own dopamine system. So from there, basically, I needed a name because I wanted to be super secretive to start with, but then, that's just not me. Anybody who knows me knows that there's nothing secretive about me. Everything's out on fucking Front Street. So, I had to get a name though. So I went back to, there was a book that really influenced me and encouraged me to make art and made me feel like art was important and valid and relevant and had to be made because you've got no other choice. And that was a book by a guy named David Mack. He's done a whole bunch of comic books, credits for Winter Soldier, Jessica Jones. I think he was nominated for an Emmy, 4 Eisners this year in 2020. He's a really strong comic book artist. But he wrote this book called Kabuki the Alchemy, which was basically about the character Kabuki finding her sense of self and expressiveness, because we're all expressive in one way or another. So, but the thing that ran throughout the Kabuki books was her friend Akemi. And Akemi, for me, seemed more like a foundational principle than a person. The idea that there should be a spirit in this world of helping others, and that help obviously has to come from other people, but Akemi for me embodied that spirit. And I love David Mack's art. There's nothing more inspiring than art that you look at and you can't even comprehend how good you have to be to be able to do that art. So, big turn off for me. I contacted David and he was okay with me using the name. And, I sometimes wonder, he came up with the zero-dimensional character. And I mean, the idea that Akemi could be a number of people comes up in the last few panels where Akemi says, would you prefer me to be a female man? Or, referring to her mailman disguise. And I love that idea. I've always been a fan of the name Luther Blissett, similar multi-use name. But I wonder to myself, I wonder if he, no doubt he scarcely knows it all, if knows of it at all, if at all. But I wonder if there's not something in the universe of Give 'em Back that, David Mack's zero-dimensional idea became a three-dimensional reality that, the principle of which I have followed and not followed for the last 8 years. But I wonder, because it's sort of like he gave birth to this idea, but the idea gave birth to a reality. And I guess that's true of any good idea, but I wonder. Thanks for listening, guys. Do appreciate your time. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And I hope you have a rad day. Stay safe out there, people. It's hard times, so be kind to each other and be kind to yourself too. Don't be too rough. All right then. Thanks for your time. Peace.